While the Trump administration has made it clear that federal agencies and contractors must move away from DEI policies, questions remain about what's happening inside schools that actually serve military families. Now, new documents suggest outside contractors may still be pushing ideological training even as official buzzwords disappear from public materials. Joining us now to discuss is Rachel O'Brien, the Deputy Public Policy Editor for OpenTheBooks.com. It's always good to see you. So let's start with what you found out. What is the Department of Defense education activity doing when it comes to DEI and some of this related ideological materials inside some of these military schools?
Good morning, Angela. Yeah, so we're talking about what you call JODEA. They educate more than 70,000 children of military service members around the world, and they are part of the bureaucracy that has shown resistance to this change coming from the Trump administration. And so they continue to push favored policies through these outside contractors and professional societies. And as you said, while they've scrubbed these buzzwords from much of their materials, if you check out the contractors, they get in through the back door.
Okay, so you've reported much of this influence is, like you said, from these outside contractors. What, do the rules not apply to them, or are they going around it? What does that mean?
No, it does apply to them, professional or federal contractors. Anyone who's doing business with the federal government, they're required to follow. But they're doing things sort of in a way that up until now, it's been hard to see. So, for instance, teachers in the gifted program for JODEA, they use curriculum from an outside group called Think Law. Mm-hmm. So that group's CEO, he advocates for what he says defiance disguised as compliance. So in one example, he encourages teachers to affirm secret gender transitions in schools. If a student has a gender transition, that they don't need to tell their parents.
When you say gender transition, we're talking about like changing pronouns, stuff like that.
Absolutely. They can, right, what name they're using, what pronoun they're using, and not to inform parents. You know, the sex education curriculum they're using is for very young students. They're teaching gender identity to second graders, teaching the use of puberty blockers to fifth graders, things like that. And so it's all coming from these contractors that are required to follow the law about this.
So, I mean, there has to be some paperwork somewhere, right? And how do you get your hands on those paperworks? Have you been able to?
Yes. Yeah. So it has been difficult to get records up until now. They do have a transparency issue. So they've long been plagued with delays of their public records, of providing the public records and redacting them heavily when we do finally get them. So it's not always possible to find this evidence. They are clearly working to avoid transparency. However, Open the Books was able to receive their annual learning plan for the 2025-26 school year, and that's how we're able to see the curriculum from these contractors. Yeah.
So you got your hands on the learning plans. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen next? You know, President Trump has made it clear that federal agencies must align with his anti-DEI policies. So what should happen, especially in a case like this, when you're dealing with contractors in kind of roundabout ways? And then it's hard to get the information.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, so back in 2024, you know, to give credit where credit is due, President Joe Biden did sign something called the National Defense Authorization Act, which that included a new Parents' Bill of Rights. And that gave military families the rights to review instructional materials and curriculum and books available to students. Right now, the public can see the names of the curricula offered, but not the actual content.
Right.
So much more must be done. So radical transparency is the answer. You know, if the now called the War Department, if Secretary Hegseth wants the War Department to be more transparent and have JODEA be more transparent, they can review these contractors and end the affiliations that are not aligning with their objectives. They could publicize which cancel contracts they are, and so parents and the public can see who is providing this material, and they're no longer allowed to provide that.
All right. Thank you so much. Rachel O'Brien, OpenTheBooks.com, Deputy Public Policy Editor. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Angela. Thanks for having me.
Right now, the live